Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Inner Circle. Today, we're talking about three very compelling pieces from two fashion houses that are not traditionally known for men's watches, but Hermes and Chanel recently broke some of these perceptions and prejudices against them with very smart investments they made recently. Some of them actually, some of these decisions actually stretch all the way back to more than a decade ago. And they have consistently started providing interesting offerings with certain horological virtues, important inert value, material experimentation, and for sure also um, incredibly tasteful stylistic choices as well. So let's start with what really broke the curse for Hermes in the realm of men's watches, and that is the H08. Hermes introduced the H08 for the first time in 2021, and in quite some time, it became the first men's watch that was actually a commercial success for the brand, which sounds quite surprising considered from one perspective, um, yet also for us in the world of watches, uh, it really wasn't. Hermes consistently innovated interesting complications, one of which we are going to look at momentarily, but did not really have that mainstay in their collection that was uh, accessible, obtainable, and fashionable and utilitarian enough that would appeal to the broadest range of consumers. But it seems to have struck that chord. It seems to have hit that right note with H08, which you see here in the blue version. One of the virtues of H08 is its self-winding caliber, which is a manufacture movement for Hermes. Hermes, as early as 2006, bought a 25% stake in the famous Vaucher manufacture in Fleurier. Vaucher famously makes movements for not only Hermes, but also Parmigiani Fleurier, Richard Mille, Audemars Piguet, and many others in the industry. And the H1837 being, of course, the year of establishment for the vaunted Parisian house, is basically the base of a lot of the Hermes line of watches, including, for example, Le Temps Voyageur, their new world timer watch that builds on that base with a very innovative chronode module. Coming back to the H08, you're looking at the version with the blued PVD titanium case. Which, of course, adds to the lightness of of the piece. There is a brushed ceramic bezel, which provides that nice contrast and the general play of blues, charcoal gray / black, and also, of course, slight accents of orange, which happens to be the trademark color of the brand. The fonts that are used for the hour markers of this watch, or the font rather, have been specifically designed for this model, and they are used consistently on the hour track, as well as the date indicator. As you can see, here's an 8, and there's the 8. There's a display case back, which has a black DLC coated frame, and it gives you a glimpse of that H1837 caliber, which is decorated in that excessive and extravagant way of embossing all the bridge plates as well as the rotor with the initials of the house. The watch is very light, smooth, and extremely wearable. And has this easily adjustable butterfly style déployant clasp that's in combination with the unique textured rubber strap makes this watch both quite stylistic and a joy to wear. Center sweep seconds, which is a tipped arrow hand with that orange, actually travels only across the center of the dial, which is a quirky and relatively unique expression, and which only adds to the particular charm of this cushion-cased watch, which we can really think of as Hermes's take on the traditional field watch. I think it's an extremely compelling offering. I think it is at a price point that is quite attractive, especially on the secondary market. And here you see that this piece is now at 20% off from its initial offering, and more significantly discounted considering the retail price of $6,700. On the real, the H08 Blue is listed for $4,156 US. The second option, I'm continuing my tradition of turning your attention to not only pieces, but also places to shop for watches online. First Dibs, again, is mostly oriented towards jewelry, luxury items, designer stuff, even antiques and decoration. But there are watches too that are displayed, that are offered up for sale, and some of them are very attractively priced. And this Hermès Arceau Le Temps Suspendu is a great example of that. The Arceau case is, of course, a piece with asymmetric lugs that very much pay homage to the equestrian heritage of Hermes, a brand which started its trade by making saddles for horses. And le temps suspendu is actually a very unique complication by Hermes, because it has this button at 9 o'clock, which, as the title promises, as the name of the watch promises you, actually allows you to suspend time. If you see this subtle sectoring around number 12, around 12 o'clock, when you press that pusher at 9 o'clock, the hour and minute hands, those pierced feuille hands, actually come together like a butterfly within that sector around 12 o'clock, even as the watch continues to keep time. And as it happens, actually, in this particular version, the date indicator also hides under that nook. So even the date is suspended as well. So with another push, you are right back to the correct time. This is the 42 millimeter version with the black dial, presumably targeted towards men. There's a reduced sized version at 38, which actually has a very quirky seconds counter placed off center for 24 seconds, meaning that it makes 5 revolutions in 2 minutes, and it goes counterclockwise as well. So once again, you have a watch with a complication and with an expression of time that not only represents Hermes's quirks and the unique charm of their products, but also does that with horological ingenuity and an original complication. This piece is in stainless steel, comes with a matching déployant clasp with a buckle that's quintessentially Hermes, and actually has a pretty beautiful look that goes well with the unique complication. Once again, the numbers are beautifully implemented with this slightly swirling, almost dancing mood of their typography. And on First Dibs, you can find this watch for 9,600 in US dollars, which you can use to outright purchase the piece, or you can also make an offer to see if you can actually negotiate a better deal. The third watch takes us back to Chrono 24, and we are looking at Chanel's men's watch, Monsieur de Chanel, which is a jump hour piece with a retrograde minute hand that has been a crowd pleaser. Once again, we're looking at a brand that has made a lot of investments over the early years of the 21st century, let's put it like this. Chanel now has manufacturing capabilities that would allow them to build everything from the watch crystal to the movements to ceramic cases and everything about the single timepiece within their own facilities, within their own manufacture. Not to mention their investments in some of the most important and emergent independent watchmakers of our time. The Wertheimer brothers are serious watch collectors on their own rights, and they have quite early on bought a stake in F.B. Jean, as well as more recently Romain Gauthier, who was part of the team that conceived the movement for this watch that you are seeing in the SuperLera edition, caliber 1. Perhaps even in its design, carries the signature of Romain Gauthier in terms of this circular placement of the gear train, perhaps. The watch has a ceramic mid case as well as a ceramic bezel. The rest of the details are in stainless steel. So it is a piece that lives up in its construction to the name SuperLera. It also has an aesthetic that is quite different than the other examples of Monsieur de Chanel, which are dressier, more flamboyant. This piece is decidedly sportier, with a dial that looks like a dashboard. The red details are not only confined to the SuperLera script and branding, but also to the arrow which points to the hour at the traditional 6 o'clock, to the tip of the seconds hand that is more or less at the center of the dial, and also 60 seconds, which of course marks the completion of each minute. There's a partial open working that frames the fan-like scale for the minutes, which have this sort of downward facing crescent look. The scale has the sort of downward facing crescent look. And of course, you have this rather industrial decoration for both the plate that frames the jump hour and the center of that minute scale. That sportiness is carried out on the strap as well. As you have a black nylon strap that has a black calfskin trim and red calfskin lining and a steel buckle that matches the complementary elements of the case. And of course, has that lion logo of the watch, of the brand, I meant to say. This piece is offered with its original presentation box and papers. It's a sporty looking watch, not necessarily a sports watch. It is certainly the sportiest looking version of Monsieur de Chanel. And exudes serious, sporty vibe with its aesthetics and with the use of materials that make it quite interesting and impressive. And once again, you're looking at a watch that is at the point of retail offered for more than $40,000. And here on Chrono 24, it is listed by a professional dealer out of Japan with a fixed price of $25,758 in US dollars. The only drawback of Monsieur de Chanel, I think, with all the stylistic offering, with the horological proposition that it makes, considering the prestige of a jump hour watch with retrograde minutes, a movement that is at least in part designed by Romain Gauthier, who is one of the well-respected and emergent independent makers. You have to say this is really, really compelling. On the other hand, it is also a big watch. It has a certain style that might not appeal to everyone. At 42 millimeters, it should still, I think, be wearable for a lot of people, but I would highly recommend, especially if you are close to a Chanel boutique, to go out and try if this is a watch that fits you as well, because it is still a considerable investment of money. Nevertheless, SuperLera being mostly out of ceramic might be the model that offers the most comforts and increased wearability. It actually happens to be my pick of the litter out of these three offerings from the two much vaunted fashion brands out of France, Chanel and Hermes. I nevertheless think that HO8 in its variations, in its various iterations, offers an incredible value proposition, and Le Temps suspendu is an incredibly unique and very charming complication. Nevertheless, the Monsieur de Chanel SuperLera is my absolute favorite, with its sportiness, with its evocation of motorsports and racing, and how it actually lives up to that ethos, not only in terms of its design, but also in terms of its execution, in terms of the choice of the materials, and so forth. If you have any questions about these three watches, about these three particular listings, please reach out to me. Any watch-related questions, you can always contact me directly on this platform. You can also find me on Instagram at young.brando, and you should absolutely feel free to write to me an email at lordhellespont5@gmail.com. That is lordhellespont@gmail.com. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.